Mustard. Security. We got a code black.
Basically, we don't usually introduce people to the podcast and stuff like that, innit? But now that we have Ilwed all the way from Dallas, Texas, did I get that right?
Yes, you did.
Okay, introduce yourself anyway.
All right. Well, my name is Ilwad, but if y'all follow me on Twitter or if you have me on social, you might know me as Illy. And yeah, I'm from Atlanta, but I go to school in Texas.
Okay.
So I'm not Texan, I promise.
And also, Hamza, your first time on a podcast as well.
Am I a special guest or a co-host?
That's
a very good question.
You're both. I bet both.
They're both. Right.
Come, so today, earlier, me and Ilwad were talking about Dhaqan and whether it works or not. And this is like a big topic that we might revisit later on. So obviously, I just wanted to get you man's opinion. So like your first thoughts. We'll start with you, Ilwad, first. Yeah. What do you think about like Dhaqan in general? Obviously, I haven't experienced it yourself.
Okay. Technically, I didn't experience it because like my whole family moved. But I believe Dhaqan doesn't work. Like, I am convinced because every person that I know who has gone back home after like causing ruckus wherever they were, they come back worse. And like you have more freedoms out like back home than you do where you're from.
Definitely, yeah. 100%.
So like these kids, their parents like leave them and they take them to, back home, whether it be Hargeisa, whether it be Mogadishu, whether it be anywhere, And like these kids have all this freedom because their parents just leave them either by themselves or like with extended family, and they can do whatever they want.
Yeah.
They're not learning a lesson.
100%, yeah.
They're just gonna be chilling with Ayal after dinner, basically. Yeah.
They chill with their
Like
Al
their cousins
Hafid, they chill with other
whatever,
Dhaqan kids. And it's just like a melting pot of horribleness.
Exactly.
It's not.
Yeah, obviously the environment that they're in, yeah. Like for example, let's say a school, yeah. Problem with the kid is, let's say the kid's rebellious to his parents and he doesn't listen to his parents, yeah. Fair enough. That happens. When you bring him back home, the problem is you're putting him in an environment with other rebellious kids. So that's not gonna work.
Literally.
It can't work. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like with the whole Dhaqan situation when everyone gets sent back, they just look for other people that are sent back as well. So they make their own little communities back there, innit?
Exactly.
And they wind out together. Does that make sense?
They make choose on SoundCloud too, innit?
I know, that's
Listen, I'm not eyeing anyone. Everyone knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah. He knows exactly.
Out with your chest.
Okay, basically, the point I wanted to make was, and I want to obviously see what you lot think about it as well. So, in terms of the whole Dhaqan situation, so I believe it only works when you send someone back at like a younger age, because then they'll be able to like almost join society back home, and if that makes sense. And also, like moving back with your family, like you did, and same thing with me. Like when I moved back to Hargeisa, it wasn't like I got sent back. I moved with my family.
Exactly.
Yeah. You still have the people that obviously you grew up with around you, and your siblings and your parents, that's the most important thing. But yeah, man, getting sent alone.
And he brought up a good point though.
Yeah.
He brought up a real good point though, like going while you're younger, because like when you're younger, you adapt to anywhere you go. Like if you're young and you learn a new language, it's easier than if you were to learn a new language when you're older. Yeah. So going while you're younger, you soak it up better, and it's just like you have more Dhaqan and more deen and more akhlaq built inside of you, rather than if you were to go and you're already in a whole bunch of messes.
Exactly. Oh yeah, definitely.
Because when you're younger,
you got a case or something. Come on, man. That happens all the time, man.
I know too many niggas with cases.
They have cases. Just go back home.
Running away from M charges.
You're supposed to go back home to help your people, innit?
Not like The thing is though, when you're young, what you're gonna do is you're gonna almost like become a Somali yourself, because you're gonna like assimilate into society, innit?
Yeah.
So you're gonna meet people, you're gonna become a local, you're gonna learn the language, you're gonna learn the deen or whatever, innit? But when you're old, what you're gonna do is you're gonna be left out of Somali society because people back home are gonna be picking on you because you can't speak the language.
That's true.
You don't know much about the culture, so you're gonna be left out. You're gonna find someone like yourself that's from another European or American country, and you're just gonna make your own circle. So like that is just gonna become like your own Dhaqan with your circle, if that makes sense. And we've all seen it ourselves, so we've all been back home ourselves, innit? So what do you think about that?
Well, streets saying that you're a fob. That's what the streets are saying.
So like,
You were back home when you were younger,
Yeah.
right? When you were super young. So that's the streets are saying that you were a big
I was a
fob.
big-
Oh shit! Yeah, Liver.
That's in my whiz type stuff.
yeah,
you know?
I was a big fan, but I
But-
like
Liver, can I team you on play?
Now, basically, I'm just talking about when I first moved back to
That penguin, is that a penguin?
No, that's calm.
Is it
When I
like
first
something
moved
like
back
that?
to the UK,
Yeah.
I must have went to this park and I went to these group of kids playing football. And I was like, "Can I team you to play?" Because I completely because I completely forgot to speak English in it.
Allah.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah.
That's wild.
This exactly.
Dark times, Allah. Dark times.
Yo,
But the thing is, though,
that was the one thing that I didn't experience back home. I didn't go to Dixie.
I went to Duxie back home a lot. But the thing is, one of the advantages that I got from there is the fact that I went there young. I got to know the people, the locals. I learned the language, the Dhaqan, the deen, all of that kind of stuff. So, in a way, from my mom's perspective, you could say that Dhaqan at least worked from that perspective.
It worked.
So I
It
came
worked.
back off Akhliyah, so like I knew like what's right from wrong, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But then again, I'm just one example out of 100 in it. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Exactly.
You integrate
yeah.
quickly though, because you're a kid.
Yeah. And even when I came back here, I integrated again. Because I came back here when I was 14.
I mean, yeah.
See, the thing with me is that I feel like in my case, like I said, I wasn't on Dhaqan edits, but in my case, it worked for me also because I wasn't in messes. Like I didn't do drugs. Like I didn't do any of that. So like being able to go there, and I feel like I soaked up information. Like I didn't speak a word of Somali. Ooh, I was Hoya Matalo times 10. It was bad. And then like learning the Dhaqan, learning like different things, like learning Qabiyala, that it's more than just like discrimination.
Of course.
It's your
It's a whole
history,
system,
it's your
Allah.
heritage.
Like,
Yeah.
it's mad.
It was great. Like I loved it. And you know, that's something I want my kids. Oh, my kids are getting sent back to my Idda.
Well, I'm telling you, Dhaqan Anis was one of the like best few years of my life, you know.
I got a question though, because you know how
Yeah.
you know how you did 6 years. Yeah.
He did a jail sentence. I did three. I did three though. I did
3 years.
half.
Yeah. So
I did three.
you did 6 years, innit?
Yeah.
You reckon that was a bit too much?
Ooh. I mean, it wasn't too much because I went there when I was year 3.
Yeah.
While I lived there, I still could remember like the things that like Western. What's the word, man? Like Western formalities or what? I'll use that in it.
Lifestyle,
So,
formalities, okay. Yeah.
But by the time I came back and I was 14, I pretty much knew everything in it. Like I got into society pretty quickly. I learned the language quick again. Like, everything was calm.
Yeah.
But like it went through itself, so
Yeah, 3
That's a
years.
lot.
But wait, how old were you when
3
you
years.
when you went back home?
I went 2016, so I was
Yeah, 2016.
I was 15.
2016.
26, and I just got out January.
2016. Oh, done. 2018 or 2019?
Yeah, 2019, like this
you
year.
got with this year, innit?
Mm-hmm.
So what? So from your perspective,
Yeah.
do you think it worked for you? Like what has like it improved in your life, basically?
I want to say, like, first of all, the language, being able to like speak with my mom properly, being able to like talk to people back home and know that I'm not insecure about my Somali anymore, you know. Also, Dhaqanka, akhlaq, those are two things that are really big to me. Like, sida Dhaqantid, you need to know like what's aib, what's not aib, how you're supposed to act. Like, our culture is such a rich culture, and I feel like I learned it properly. And it boils down to like who raises you, like your parents, how they teach you about it,
100%.
who the people you're around with. And I feel like I was around the right type of people.
Yeah. You know when you were learning
They
Somali.
stay.
Yeah. When you were learning Somali, were you like forcing it, or were you just, you know, like a bit timid?
Here's the funny thing. Let me tell y'all a story. I was in Hargeisa for 3 years, and the first 2 years I was finishing up high school. So I didn't go out, like I was doing online high school, so I didn't even interact with kids. And the last year I was there, my mom had a store.
Okay.
And the lady who was working for the store quit, and she gave me the store. And she was like, run it for me.
Okay.
And I didn't know a word of Somali.
Ah.
I was sheltered. I didn't leave the house. The only people I talked to was my parents at that point.
So you learned
I
through
go
interactions,
into Yes, in the middle of Jigjigayar.
Allah.
I was in a store and dad wada
Allah, that must
kakaksan
be tough.
or with a book badan. It was tough. Like I got into fights. Like it was rough, but like I learned it by force. I was like, you're not leaving Hargeisa until you learn Somali.
That's a very good accomplishment. The thing is, that's the point I was trying to make about people being sent back at like the age of 16 or something. Because then people won't be like ready to like talk to people and have them interactions that will obviously make them like the culture, innit? Because most likely what you'll do to someone when you send them by the age of 15 or something, they're gonna end up hating Somali, like the Somali culture, the Somali language, and all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
And they're gonna be thinking, I can't wait to get back to the UK or the US or wherever they're from, innit?
Yeah.
So the next point I want to move on to, do you think sending kids back home that are like Alkali, do you think that affects the people back home?
Definitely. And I know a few cases. Here's the thing. I know kids who came from the West and they're like drug oriented, party oriented, like that's their lifestyle. And they come and they're looking for people to do it with. And in most cases they'll find people from the West, but in other cases they'll find landers. They'll find kids or halkas kudashan and like that's where they're from, you know? And now there's landers out there that smoke weed. There's landers that party. They're like listen to rap music. They're like all of that. And I saw a tweet on Twitter where this girl was like, she was talking to parents. She was just like, stop sending your trash kids back home to corrupt back home, you know?
That's low-key true, though.
And a part of me was just like, okay, you don't have the right to tell them not to go back, you know?
Everyone's
Like if that's their way of like teaching their kids. But like a part of me was like, she's telling the truth. Like these kids they're corrupting. Like the way that people dress out there. I don't know. When was the last time y'all went?
We went 2017, innit?
2017, yeah.
Yeah.
And even, going back to what we were talking about schools and stuff, yeah. Like my cousin, yeah, Abu Bakr.
Yeah.
He went to a school full of people like that went Dhaqan Celis in it, and he was telling me about like everything that was going on. He said it's mad, it's crazy because he's a miskin. He's a miskin. Like he doesn't indulge in any drugs. He doesn't have a balwad or anything like that. But like he was telling me, it was absolutely crazy. Well, like he left within a heartbeat because that school got turned into a Dhaqan Celis school, innit?
Was that?
Was it British?
I think
it was near the Jigjigir.
From what I recall, yeah. But then again, yeah, like I feel like if you send the kids back with a few things, like for example, if you move your whole family there, that's a bonus because then they're not gonna feel like that, yo, my family sent me away or something. Yeah. Number two, you don't want your kid to be like old, like to the point where they can't like have interactions with people back home, do things and like get to know the locals and be ready to learn new things in it. And also like I forgot the other point. Like I have a few other points, but like those are things that like when I think about Dhaqan Celis, I feel like for my kids that's what I would do. I'd send them back at like an early age, for like a year or two, get to know the language, the religion, the culture and everything. But if my kid is 17 years old and he's like falling off life, I will not just throw him away there, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's not gonna work. It's not gonna work.
For their, their relatives, their aunts and uncles.
Yeah.
And it's mad. But have you heard of the extreme cases of Dhaqan Celis? Yeah. For example, did you watch that documentary in Kenya?
No, I haven't heard
about how they take these kids into rehabilitation centers. It's not. Do you know what? It's not only Dhaqan Celis kids. Yeah. It's also locals, but it's mainly Dhaqan Celis kids. Yeah. And what? Yeah.
Rehabilitation.
Yeah. I know what documentary you're talking about.
Yeah. So basically, what they do is they send them to this rehabilitation center and like they get abused like mad. It was in Eastleigh, I think, in Kenya.
Yeah, Kenya. Yeah.
And
are you
serious?
And
it's mad. And like, for example, like if they suspect you of taking drugs or doing like indulging in like drugs and all of that stuff, yeah, what they do is they make you drink this thing called harmala. Wallahi.
Oh, it makes you
It makes you vomit. It detoxes you, but like mad. Like whoever takes it vomits like crazy. And wallahi, it's not good, man.
That's wild.
It's like mental torture,
Bad health risks.
I know.
Yeah.
That's what I was just about to say. That I was just like, that's not healthy.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not healthy at all. Like, imagine what it does to your immune system.
Yeah, and your mental health. Because imagine being locked up in a mental health. You're gonna like your parents after that. Think about it. That's
Oh,
a whole.
no.
They go crazy in it. They go crazy.
They go crazy in there as
Yeah.
well. I've seen that documentary. I remember it right now. But you know that, like, going off that, yeah, one of the things that I hate the most about Dhaqan Islands is when kids get sent to countries like Kenya or like an Arab country, stuff like that, yeah, because that's not really Dhaqan Islands.
Yeah.
It's still a minority where you go in it. It's not your culture, it's not.
Yeah.
Literally. Oh my
You might have
goodness,
similarities,
because
but
like
that's not your culture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
like what is the point? Like if you're sending them somewhere, they're just looking for an excuse to send their child
Yeah.
somewhere.
Exactly, yeah.
That's what I believe. Because if you get somewhere sent, because I know kids who've gotten sent to Masr, they've gotten sent to Egypt,
Yeah.
they've gotten sent to Kenya. Like I'm just like, okay, you're putting your child in a different situation that they won't even be able to handle. At least had the look that case fahmayan, you know, they can figure things out. But like if you take them to a random country,
Exactly, yeah.
they're not gonna learn
But
anything.
with, like Kenya is alright. I'd say Kenya is just borderline because you know you have Somalis that live in Kenya.
Yeah.
Somalis have been living there for bare long ages.
Yeah.
Yeah, but with like Egypt and these other countries, I ain't trying to experience racism, bro.
Exactly.
Yeah, I heard Egypt's on another level still. That's another
Oh
conversation.
yeah, they are. They're not ready for that conversation.
Exactly.
They're not ready for that conversation. But you know, in terms of am I getting a call? Shall I need to pick up that after? But yeah, in terms of like the whole like Kenya thing, like the reason why I didn't really like Kenya in general, except for like people being sent there, is that like the idea that it's not your country, if that makes sense. Because when you get sent back, it's a matter of like you trying to learn your culture and get some pride in being Somali, if that makes sense. Because that's Salman. So being sent to Kenya almost feels like you're yet again just under someone else's jurisdiction, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get you still. But like the Somalis back in Kenya can't really do anything about that. Like,
Exactly. But then
yeah,
I'd rather you send your kids to Mogadishu or Hargeisa, if that makes sense.
yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, I guess.
But yeah, on like to conclude the whole thing, yeah, like would you lot like recommend an at least for your like friends or like your own kids, or what do you lot think? Like I'll start with Ilua first.
Okay. In regards to Dhaqan Celis for my own kids, if like they need to go back home. That's like a given.
But you're going with them, right?
I'm gonna take them. I'm
Yeah.
going with them. Number one, we're going when they're younger. Number two, and number three, I'm not gonna make it so they hate the Dhaqan, because like I know a lot of kids, because it's cool these days to be Americanized. It's cool these days to like not know anything about your culture and stuff like that and just morph into society. So I want them to like understand how beautiful our culture is, how amazing our people is, Luqdani, all of that stuff.
Exactly, yeah.
But for my friends, I know a couple who need Dhaqan Celis, but I don't think they should get sent back until they become a better person. If you get what I mean. Because like until you're off of all of that and you know that you're not going to self-sabotage when you get back home and sabotage our kids and our dalayero, like you don't need to go back.
Yeah, most definitely. I think the same thing.
Yeah.
On Dhaqan Celis, like you can go for vacation, but like for Dhaqan Celis, like where you get sent back, you know.
I think I'd do the same thing anyway. For my kids, I'm definitely gonna send them back.
But
like,
you're gonna be in Hargeisa though, right?
I'm gonna be
It's
there.
not like
at the
you're
time.
gonna abandon kids.
That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna be
No,
there at the
no.
time. And also, I'm not gonna be like the type of parent that would just throw them out like his cousin, like yo,
Exactly.
But yeah,
But that's your responsibility at the end of the day. You know?
100%.
That's
Like,
your
I don't know why
responsibility.
people throw their kids away.
It's your child.
It's my baby. It's my baby. Like why would I
That's
do
my
that?
child,
No.
man. But yeah, I just wanted to say, Ilwan, thank you for speaking to us, man. You're speaking to us from another whole continent today, innit? I just want to say thank you for coming to the
Thank
podcast.
you for having me from America, from East Atlanta's Zone 6 years.
Yeah, but also I want to say, like, to end the episode. Well, I can't speak today. Ilwan's about to start up her own podcast soon, so yeah, stay tuned. I'm gonna start promoting the whole thing, innit?
Come on.
Yes, I'm hopping on the wave. I feel like I have a lot to say and like give my 2 cents on some things. And obviously, I want y'all to come on.
Definitely, man.
just,
You
like,
helped. You jumped
talk
on
to
ours,
me.
so you're on. I'm on yours as well. Don't worry, fam.
Say no more.
Yes, thank
Gang,
you.
gang, gang.